Camp Margaritaville RV Resort and Cabana Cabins, Auburndale, Florida. Camp Margaritaville Auburndale is a family-friendly RV and cabin resort located in Central Florida between Orlando and Tampa. It's also close to Legoland. It sits on 66 acres and is not too far off of I-4 next to Lake Myrtle in Auburndale. RV check-in is at 2 p.m. and checkout is at 11 a.m. They have 2 heated resort pools and one 147-foot water slide. That's total length of the water slide, not the height. They have 1 splash pad, several playgrounds, pier, Parrot Island mini golf. They have several places to play pickleball, volleyball, and basketball, and so much more. They have 75 cabana cabins, and some sleep up to 6 people. They also have 326 RV sites. Their pull-through sites are 90 feet by 35 feet on pavement, and the back-end sites, which we had, were 80 feet by 35 feet on crushed shell. They offer full hookups, as well as 50, 30, and 20 amp breakers. They also provide free Wi-Fi and cable. Check-in. Check-in at the gate was easy and quick. They had someone escort us to our site in short order. I'm so glad they have escorts because this place is massive, and I'd hate to be lost in there pulling a camper. Somehow, we ended up with a really great spot. It was close to all of the activity at the main pool, but it was around the corner, so it was a little more secluded. I couldn't have asked for better. It was so convenient to everything. We were in a standard back-end site, but it felt so big compared to what we had in Marathon. It was a wide parking pad of crushed shells next to a pad made of decorative pavers. This is where the picnic table was located. Next to that was an AstroTurf area. Surrounding our area was a bunch of decorative plants and several tall palm trees. The permanent grill was located to the back of the area, right as the pavers ended. We've stayed at several RV resorts over the past few months, and this was by far the biggest, nicest spot we've had, including the ones where we stayed in upgraded sites. Capacity. As mentioned previously, Camp Margaritaville at Auburndale has 75 cabana cabins and 326 RV sites for a capacity of 401 families. We were booked from December 30th to January 3rd. I got an email in early December letting us know that December 30th, 31st, and January 1st were either at or near capacity, and that guests of campers would not be allowed on those dates. During these dates, only registered guests listed on your reservation would be permitted on the property. If you needed to add someone to your reservation, then you needed to email them at a certain address and let them know. Since I knew Dad would be visiting, I followed the directions and got him added. The process was very easy, and the interaction with staff was excellent. I have to say, you could not tell it had that many people. It's so big and so spread out that it's not overwhelming at all. Sure, there are a lot of people everywhere, but you could still get a spot at the bar or join in the activities. A cold front had come through as we were driving in, and the high temperatures were in the upper 50s, lower 60s those days, so I feel like saying there was plenty of extra chairs around the pool might be a bit disingenuous. I don't know if it's standard procedure because there were so many people or because it was leading up to New Year's Eve, but they had a police officer stationed at the roundabout just off the main pool area from dusk until about midnight every night we were there. The only issue I really had with it is that they ran their lights the whole time and it got annoying after a while, since our lot was right there, but it wasn't the biggest issue and we couldn't see it inside the camper. I suppose you could say the only place where you knew there was a lot of people is when it came to the food, which leads me to food and drinks. We were excited to see that there was online ordering of food on the app and even campsite service was available. We usually cook at our campsite, but I had been cooking a lot of meals and we had done the last 2 holidays camping, so I was ready for a few breaks. I understand that the resort was at capacity, but the food service was horrible. Repeatedly. Our first attempt was at the Feeding Frenzy. It's the main eatery for the resort and it's next to the main pool. It's combined with Frank and Lola's, which is their pizza place. We were third in line and told the food would take about 40 minutes. We knew the park was fairly packed and that we probably couldn't see a lot of the orders since online ordering was available, so 40 minutes seemed reasonable. We nicely inquired about our food after an hour, only to be snapped at by that staff member. I think that might have been the only bad staff interaction we had while we were there. Slightly under 2 hours later, we finally got our food. The family ahead of us had gotten half of their food about the same time, so it wasn't just us. We sat down to eat and we all agreed that the food was incredibly unremarkable. I'm not sure how it's possible to have fish tacos with pineapple pico and cojito cheese and still have no flavor. It also tasted like it had been sitting under a heat lamp for a while. S had basically the same impression about his food. He'd ordered the Hawaiian burger and it looked amazing. Again, it had teriyaki sauce and pineapple on it, but no flavor. We were less than impressed and made a point not to eat at the resort the remainder of our stay. The next evening, in the spirit of not ordering any more meals at the resort, we decided that we'd like ice cream for dinner. So we wandered over to the Dreamsicle ice cream shop, thinking it would be hard to mess that up. We were wrong. The flavors of ice cream that they carry and are available as scoops are as follows: vanilla chocolate, scooper hero, cookies and cream, cookie dough, and espresso chocolate chip. From there, they have several options from sundaes to boozy milkshakes that are built on those flavors. When we got it to order, the guy at the register sadly informed us that they were out of vanilla chocolate and cookie dough and that everything else is based on those flavors, but we were free to substitute in scooper hero or espresso chocolate chip. He explained that scooper hero was basically vanilla but with yellow and red food dye. I'm not entirely sure that was the case, but I never tasted it. A and I got scoops of cookies and cream, and the other three got sundaes with scooper hero subbed in. Apparently the sundaes were not great because nobody finished them. On our last day there, it finally warmed up enough for the kids to swim in the heated pool. While S stayed with the littles, Jay and I walked over to the tiki bar and got cocktails for us and a mocktail for S. The mocktail was by far the best. My rum runner tasted like lighter fluid even after I mixed it more. After I added some S's pina colada, it was tolerable. Jay's 5 o'clock somewhere was okay. I thought about being generous and chalking the long wait times and running out of ice cream flavors to the resort being at or near capacity. But when I thought about it, I got the email about them being at capacity on December 13th. It most likely isn't the first time they've had this happen and have had ample time to plan accordingly. They've been open 4 years. They're not new. Also, we'd ended up talking to some other guests who stayed there several times and were told that this is pretty standard and had nothing to do with the volume of people. So basically, every food and beverage we got there was a miss. Pro tip, there's a Chinese food place about 2 miles away from the resort on Berkeley Road called Freddy's Cafe. The food is solid, the portions are good, and it's affordable. Barkaritaville. I should not be this entertained by dog parks, yet here we are. There are 3 dog parks that I'm aware of. There may well be more hidden in the resort because I really could have used another day just to explore the place. The 2 main dog parks are near the main pool. The larger of the 2 is at what I'm going to call ground level behind a row of cabana cabins. If you look at the map, it's directly behind cabins 394 to 396, which I believe are dog-specific cabins. This dog park is large and has natural grass. If you turn left at the gate to this area, instead of going in the dog park, you'll see a set of stairs that lead to a side entrance to the main pool area. Go up the stairs, go through the gate, and turn right. The laundry facilities for that half of the park are in the end of that building there. If you go down the side of that building, you're now above the first dog park. At the end of the path, there's a double dog wash station. It looked very nice, but we did not partake. To the left of the dog wash is another gate, and that takes you to the smaller dog park. It's AstroTurf and smaller, but it's super cute. Both dog parks had a waste station and doggy water fountains. The third dog park is on the far end of the resort, over by sites 343 and 344. If you're not looking for it, you'll miss it. I did ride my scooter past there when we first arrived, but I never got a chance to go back. Camp Margaritaville might just be the most outwardly dog-friendly place we've been. Yes, even more dog-friendly than Great Escapes, which is super dog-friendly. According to the map, there's yet another dog park on the other side of the buddy sites, but I can't verify that. Radar really liked the big grass dog park below the pool area, and it was mere steps from our site, so we went there the most. Laundry. The resort had 2 laundry areas, one by the main pool and one over in the middle of the pull-through sites, which can be a little tricky to find at night, but it's also the bathhouse for that area, so I'm sure if you need it, you'll find it. We ended up using the one closer to us by the pool, but both buildings have 4 washers and 4 dryers. If you download the app, you can select both sites to see which machines are available or unavailable, as well as how long is left on the machines in use. I'm assuming it's also the same in the other laundry house, but there were 3 regular washers that were $2 a load and a large capacity machine that was $2.25 a load. I may be off by a quarter on those prices because I've since deleted the app and I have the memory of a goldfish. You can either preload the app or use tap to pay with your phone or credit card. I preloaded the app with some money but needed one more load to go in a dryer, so I used tap to pay for that, and both methods worked great. I did feel that the normal capacity machines cleaned our clothes better than the higher capacity machine, and I used the same settings for both. Also, I have been at places where I felt the laundry wasn't as clean as I would have hoped. I was happy with the quality of all the washes I did there, which I think ended up being 6 loads of wash and 4 dryers worth since we hang a lot of our shirts and hoodies. Both facilities were extremely cleaned and well maintained. I appreciated them not overcharging for laundry like some campgrounds do. If I had any suggestions, it would be to have more than 4 machines per facility because those places stayed busy the whole time we were there. Also, the automatic motion lights are tiresome when you're sitting there at night scrolling on your phone while your towel's dry and the light keeps turning off on you. Common areas. This place was immaculately maintained. It's like Disney level maintained. You never saw trash anywhere blowing around. The bathrooms were spotless, no lint on the laundry room floor, nothing sticky in the eating areas, etc. A rig would leave out in the morning, and about 10 minutes later, a little gator with a trailer would pull up. 4 guys would get out and reset the site back to pristine condition in under 5 minutes, complete with spraying down the picnic tables with cleaner and wiping it down. There was curbside trash collection, and the guys would come around several times and collect it. So I say all that to say that the common areas were stunning. Everything was incredibly well maintained. The landscaping was beautiful. There were so many kids and bikes and scooters and golf carts, and it really was just so orderly. Several nights there was a popcorn bar during the kids' activity, and there was zero proof it had been there after the activity had concluded. Someone didn't pick up after their large dog in the dog park one time, and by the time I'd gone back past a few minutes later, it was gone. They are on their cleanliness game here. On our final day there, it was barely warm enough for our kids to enjoy the heated pool and water slide, but they were here for it. It was nice, clean, and well maintained. The slide was fine, but nothing special. I'd really like to see them add a few more water activities or a lazy river or something and just make it amazing. Rule enforcement. I mentioned before that it was fairly chilly while we were there. First 2 nights were in the upper 30s with a breeze, and it was pretty miserable to be outside. You can only have propane fire pits at this resort, and this was also the case at our previous place, so we had purchased one for this trip. We learned upon arrival that there was a very strict burn ban in that county due to the drought, and you could not use even the propane fire pits. We did go ask the reception staff that there had been any changes to the ban, since 1, it had rained the night before, and 2, because it was so freaking cold. We were told that there had been no changes to the ban, and we could absolutely not use the fire pit that we had specifically purchased to use at this and one other location. Now, I completely understand that this is 100% out of the resort's control. That's not even what I'm talking about. What I'm mad about is all the other people around us using the same exact type of fire pits. I rode my scooter through the park, and many people were using those fire pits. One family was using theirs in the site that was next to where the police officer was sitting in his cruiser. I'm totally down if we're not enforcing the rules or if the staff happens to look the other way. But don't sit there and tell me absolutely not, and then I get to freeze my buns off while everyone else gets to use theirs. So now I have an outdoor space heater and a fire pit I haul around from campsite to campsite because that's how I roll. Bougie. I feel like I need to give people the heads up about this, not because it matters or is in any way important, but knowledge is power, folks. We've stayed at many different types of campgrounds. We've stayed at state parks, county parks, KOAs, Thousand Trails, and some very nice resorts. We've hit a lot of price points. I will say I do think that although Camp Margaritaville is a good bit of money per night for a standard site, it hasn't been the most expensive place we've stayed, and it does provide a good value. By a good bit. Looking at you, Splash. But it is the first place we've ever been where we looked like we were poors. Usually when we stay somewhere, you see a huge spread of RV and camper types. You'll see a 44-foot blinged out toy hauler parked next to a 16-foot stick and tin and nobody bats an eye. We have a very nicely maintained, basic, newer, just under 30-foot stick and tin grand design. It's not high-end, it's not low-end. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I know we were the only stick and tin on our row, and I'm not entirely sure there were very many others. We were parked surrounded by a very large vintage Airstream and 2 DRVs. Across from us were 2 Brinkley toy haulers, and down from them were some incredibly nice Class A's and Super C's. Of course, there was some turnover during the days we were there, so this changed occasionally. You would look down the row of RVs, and there was our tiny little stick and tin sitting there like a 2-year-old at an adults-only party. I'm not saying we felt bad or anything because I know nobody cares, but it was so funny. We did take several walks to go do a lot of window shopping. Overall, we had a great time at Camp Margaritaville. We are already planning on going back later in the year and having my dad rent one of the cabanas so we can all hang out some more. It's a great location for us to see both of my parents and keep the kids happy as well.